Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another Dog Pack Discord preview episode, joined by the usual suspects, Kenny Mac, Justin, and myself, Josh, and all the Dog Pack members. We got a full lineup in here tonight, and due to a bunch of audio issues on my end or Josh's end, or we can't really figure it out, it's just the ether. We got a late start here. Josh has to be muted so I can talk, or there's tons of echo. So we're gonna fudge our way through this and try to give you guys a good episode. So I appreciate all the Dog Pack members hanging in here tight and not leaving when we're getting a 12-minute late start. It's already basically midnight. But we got a fun episode we want to get into tonight. Obviously going to preview the, some would say, potentially playoff implication Chargers game. They're ahead of us in the wild card, and I heard a rumor that if we win this game and the Vikings beat the Colts, we will currently hold the last wild card spot. I haven't looked too far into that, but that's what I'm hearing out in the internets. So, I mean, a game this, you wouldn't think you'd have playoff implications this early in the season when you only have 2 wins, but the AFC is booty this year, and so the Browns picked a good year to get off to a bad start. And so we picked a good year to get off to a bad start. Season's still alive. It's on life support, but it's still alive, and that's all we can ask for considering the way things went. Before we get into everything, though, and get all these guys' thoughts on the upcoming matchup, remember, if you want to get your intros and your voicemails on the show, head to thedogspodcast.com, tap Leave Voicemail on the drop-down menu. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Make sure you tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of the content we're putting out. You can listen to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Google, and you can find us on all the social media platforms. I was going to say, just search at the Dogs Podcast. Lastly, if you're looking for more Dogs content, you want to be a part of these preview episodes, you want to play fantasy football with us, you want to hang out with all these guys and gals, just head to jointhedogs.com to become an official Dog Pack member, get access to the private Discord, again, get to be a part of these preview episodes. In the off-season, you get to have a lot of say in the off-season content, so it's just a good time for everybody involved. So again, that's jointhedogs.com, become an official Dog Pack member, support the show, get to know the dogs. It's a good time. So I think it's exciting that we have a game to talk about where I'm not saying, let's just get geared up for the therapy session. I feel I have hope. There's hope out there right now. What are you guys thinking heading into this matchup? I know the Chargers, I think, have only given up 91 points this year. Haven't exactly played any high-flying offenses. I don't know if I'm willing to call us a high-flying offense yet, but in my heart, I feel if we play as well offensively as we did against the Ravens, we will be the best offense they've seen so far this year. So I think it could go either way. I'm interested to make sure to see if last week was a fluke or if it's really a game for us to build on.
I think, it's going to be very similar to the last time that they were here in Cleveland. That was kind of like a punch-for-punch game. The big thing that for us is getting Nick Chubb going. He had a hell of a game. I think he had about a 60 or 70-yard run for a touchdown in that. That would make a huge difference. Overall, the biggest stat that I've heard, and the number of people have said it, the Chargers are +6, and they get turnovers and they don't turn the ball over. So if that's the case, if we're not going to get turnovers, we've had problems getting them. Denzel Ward's not playing. He's the guy that's got the most Ash's defense that has yet to turn them into many interceptions. We're either going to have to cause fumbles or we're going to have to be sure tacklers. And the other thing is we don't have JOK. So we got to step on somebody else to step up. Hopefully Hicks is back, because that would be a great sign for our defense. But, you got to be feeling pretty good after last game when JOK left. Iabati didn't miss a beat, and he looked like a beast.
I think one thing that's interesting about the Chargers is their leading receiver has almost 200 yards less receiving than their leading rusher right now. Their leading receiver is Ladd McConkey, the rookie, at 376 yards. J.K. Dobbins has 535 yards rushing. they're going to come out. They're going to try to be physical. It's honestly, it looks like a Michigan team from the last 3 or 4 years. They're going to come out and try to impose their will on both sides of the ball up front, control the line of scrimmage, only throw it. They'll take their shots once they lull you to sleep, and they've been pounding you in the run game. One thing that does scare me a little bit is I feel like the receivers that have given the Browns trouble in the past are these like smaller, quick guys. And that's kind of what Ladd McConkey is, this typical slot receiver, quick routes, great route runner. I feel like we do really well against like the big body guys. Like we usually defend Jamar Chase well. Martin Emerson did well against Justin Jefferson in camp this year. He shut down Mike Evans last year. I feel like when we play these precise route running, smaller, quick guys, these are the guys who give us trouble. So I'm hoping Ladd McConkey doesn't have a coming out party against us where we just can't cover him and he just every third down he's open, especially with being down Ward, being down JOK. So hopefully the defense can continue to play well in the run game, obviously, but I just don't want this guy to have a coming out party against us, especially at home.
He's questionable. I don't recall what the injury was, but I mean, it could be something that if he's limited in practice all week, could be something that affects him for the game as well.
That's fair. I think a big part of it is going to be trying to contain J.K. Dobbins, slow him down. Also, Vidal, he's very capable behind him. Dobbins kind of started out pretty hot. He's kind of cooled off the last few weeks. He's, come back to earth. But I think a big thing, Blake, you touched on it, is the offense for real with Jameis Winston, or is that just a fluke? You know what I mean? Because if the offense looks like that week to week, obviously we had some things go our way, some, dropped interceptions and stuff like that, some chances that the Ravens could have capitalized that just worked our way. But I mean, if the offense, if that's what you're getting week to week, we're going to be tough. We're going to be tough. And I haven't said that in a long time. I was shocked on Sunday with that performance. That looked like a team that wasn't ready to lay down. You know what I mean? So I'm very excited heading into this week.
I mean, you made me think of a point right now. What have we bitched about since Stefanski's been here? We haven't seen all 3 phases play a perfect game. That was about as perfect as a game as you're going to get, right? And the one thing that they did that we wanted to harp on all year as well is both lines of scrimmage, defense, offense on the Brown side were controlled. And that's what needs to happen in this game, because I'm taking a look at the amount of pressures allowed last week. Both Rashad Slater and Joe Alt, they had 0 pressures from last week. Browns, on the other hand, I believe, I'm trying to look up the stats, but I thought I saw this today. Both Za'Darius and Miles, I don't know if it was combined 9 or 9 apiece pressures. So that's going to be interesting how that plays out. And whoever wins that is going to be pretty even, I would say. But that'll be a determining factor in the game.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Don't have, in years past, they've kind of been known for like the Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Justin Herbert's big arm, push the ball downfield. That's not going to be the team we face now. And J.K. Dobbins, so he's averaging 4.8 yards per carry. I feel really good about our defense stopping their run game this week. We've faced the last 3 weeks. I mean, the Bengals did nothing against us in the run game. We, outside of one chunk run, we completely shut down Derrick Henry last week. And then 3 weeks ago against the Eagles, Saquon came in maybe the hottest back in the league outside of Derrick Henry. We completely bottled him up and shut him down. So, and that was at a time when the defense was spending 55 of the 60 minutes on the field because the offense couldn't get a first down, 27 drives without getting a first down. So I feel like the defense being refreshed, knowing that there's an offense on the field now that can go put up some points, they're playing aggressive again. I just hope that the injuries don't catch up to him. But like you said, Diabate stepped in last week and looked like an absolute savage. I mean, when I watched the game on TV, I noticed things, but I'm, what they call housewifing most of the time when I'm watching the ball, see a linebacker pop off on the game broadcast like, you're doing something right. Like, I'm just seeing in the replays, I'm like, holy cow, this guy's freaking everywhere. So he played really well. I feel comfortable with our corners, even without Ward. Like, those guys have played a lot of meaningful football. They're good. How do you guys feel about the offense? Do you think it was a fluke, or are you confident having hope in the offense moving forward? Do you think, or like, how do you feel about it? Go ahead, Josh.
Well, I'm cautiously optimistic about it because it's the type of offensive output that we got used to seeing over the back half of last year. So it's what we were expecting to see coming into this season, and it just never happened. The offense was just completely dead. We had nobody who could run the damn thing. And now, I mean, all it was that quarterback change, and it's that the offense is being executed. And, I've talked to a lot of people this week, and we've had the debates about, the play calling. Was it Dorsey? Was it Stefanski? And I was looking at stuff from the OBR guys, and they were saying there was a lot more Kevin Stefanski type of offensive schemes and stuff in this game because Jameis can go under center. Jameis can execute play action offense. So they actually got a little bit more into the roots of Kevin Stefanski type of offense in this game, even though it was Ken Dorsey calling the plays. So all that kind of stuff, going back to Joe Flacco from last year, definitely has me optimistic.
I'm optimistic as well. And what I'm falling back on is outside of the first 7 games this year, 6 games, Kevin Stefanski's offense has always been competent, and at least when he's had at least a healthy quarterback, healthy Baker year, it was his career year until last year. Jacoby Brissett had a career year in 11 games with Kevin Stefanski. Last year, Joe Flacco revitalized his career playing for Kevin Stefanski. There's only been one quarterback that we haven't seen good in the offense. That's Deshaun Watson. So I feel very confident going forward that it wasn't a fluke. Is he gonna throw for 334, 3 touchdowns and no picks every week? Probably not. But are we going to look inept and lost? I don't think so either. I think we're going to be a serviceable football team going forward that can move the ball and convert third downs, make big plays, get some chunk plays, put pressure on defenses, give our defense a rest. Like, feel really good going forward. It almost makes you sick because we wasted a bunch of winnable games. And the fact that the season isn't over yet is kind of amazing.
Yeah. And the biggest thing for me is the wide receivers all year on this podcast. I'm sure other podcasts as well. We've been saying there's receivers open. There's receivers open. There's receivers open. And the only wild card to this receiving crew is Tillman. I didn't expect him to break out like that. I know he did well with all the quarterbacks against the Bengals, but it took it up another notch. And if I see that again, I mean, they'll be hard to deal with because Judy's getting open, Tillman's getting open. You have Njoku,
Elijah,
you got, and Moore is a surprise. I'm surprised by this, but like I'm saying, like I know by watching video that these guys were open. It's just we got a trigger man now, and like Winston must have been licking his chops to get in because he knows these guys are open.
Yeah, and that's one thing I was going to talk about, Kenny. I'm glad you brought up all the receivers and everything. Blake, you said like we wasted those first few. I feel like this is the time where like this is the type of offense and the way we played last week. If we're going to play like that, we could use Amari Cooper now. You know what I mean? Like that top wide receiver one for your core out there, route runner, savant, like everything that he brought to the table. I feel like we could have repeated what we had with him last year with Joe Flacco, but it's just a little too late for the offense on that. So we're going to have to get it done with Judy, with Moore, with Tillman, and a heavy dosage of David Njoku.
And we have to see how these guys look against a defense that's not down their first 2 strings of corners and see how they respond with that. I mean, we know by watching Jameis last week, he took some chances. So let's see if they can cash in on them.
I want to watch Cedric Tillman again, like you said, not against a garbage secondary in the Bengals or a beat-up bad secondary in the Ravens. I want to see if he can continue to ascend because, like you mentioned, it'd be nice to have Amari Cooper, but if Cedric Tillman can continue to build on his last 2 performances, I don't want to say you don't need Amari Cooper because obviously he's very good, but wide receiver cores in capable, very good hands if Cedric Tillman can play the way he has the last 2 weeks going forward. I heard, obviously, fantasy football and real life football are different. But just to put things in perspective about how well Cedric Tillman's played the last 2 weeks, he's the number one fantasy football wide receiver. Yeah, like that means he's catching lots of passes, getting lots of yards, and scoring touchdowns, which means he has to be playing at least decent in real life. Like you can put up fantasy stats as a quarterback and not be playing well. If you're playing wide receiver and you're putting up stats, you're probably playing well because that means you're catching the ball, scoring touchdowns, the things that's required of you. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he progresses. And they give up 4.2 yards per carry, and they haven't faced Nick Chubb yet. And I feel like even though Nick Chubb's numbers last week weren't jump off the paper great, I think we all kind of seem like he's starting to get the juice back a little bit. And I look for them to continue to kind of get him going and get his legs back underneath him. I think Nick Chubb could have a solid day. Like for the first time in forever, I'm really excited for the Browns game. Like I was interested in last week's game because of all the changes. This week, I'm excited for the Browns game. It's a nice change.
Oh, yeah. And guess what's going to happen next week? We're going to have 5 offensive linemen start consecutive games. The same guys. That's going to be fantastic. Having Teller back was huge. Nick Chubb looking good. And I think that's just going to continue.
This episode is sponsored by Leaf Filter. Browns fans, whether the team is winning or not, you are the most die-hard, loyal fans in the league year in and year out. And just like you, Leaf Filter has been supporting clean gutters in Northeast Ohio year after year. And because Leaf Filter is the official gutter guard of the Cleveland Browns, they have a limited time offer for all of you barking dogs. Right now, you can get up to 32% of your entire qualified purchase and 2 free official Browns jerseys at leaffilter.com/dogs. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever cleaned your gutters, but it's a tedious, messy, time-consuming chore. So cut down on your weekend home maintenance, cross off another item on that to-do list so you can spend more time watching football on your days off. Leaf Filter uses award-winning patented technology to keep everything out of your gutters except for the water. Schedule your free gutter inspection today for a free no-obligation estimate on protecting your home from flooding, roof damage, rotting siding, foundation issues, and all those things you really don't need to be dealing with as a homeowner. A Leaf Filter trusted pro will clean out your gutters, realign and seal them before installing Leaf Filter. Schedule your free inspection now, and for a limited time, get up to 32% off your entire qualified purchase and 2 free Browns jerseys at Leaf Filter, leaffilter.com/dogs, DAWGS. That's a free inspection, up to 32% off, and 2 free Browns jerseys with a qualified purchase at leaffilter.com/dogs. Offer valid on a first-come, first-served basis while supplies last. Full terms and conditions can be found at leaffilter.com/dogs. See representatives for warranty details.
Is anybody coming up on here? Is this just an us show today? Anybody got any questions? What's anybody want to see out of the Browns or the Chargers this week?
Cody, how we doing, guys?
Yo, man.
Good. So I guess you bring up a good question, so this brings up a good question. Is it possible to win this game against the Chargers if they take the lead first? Do we have enough faith in this offense yet to be able to say, hey, listen, we're down a touchdown or we're down 2 scores and things like that, and be able to come back with them, especially with the way that they're able to kill the clock?
So I feel good. We just watched a score game-winning drive. Like the Ravens went down and took the lead really late, and we marched right down the field. Not only did we march right down the field and take the lead back, we did it. We forced the Ravens to use their timeouts. No, we didn't settle for a long 55-yard field goal. Like we did that. I was very impressed with the Browns late in that game, which we talked about in our reaction. I enjoyed seeing Kevin in that CEO role. I felt like our end game management was what you would want out of an NFL team. And I know we've struggled with that in the past, and some of it's been blamed on Kevin being too worried about the offense. We were able to make them eat up their timeouts. We were able to get chunk plays when we needed to, convert third downs when we needed to, and go down and score a game-winning touchdown, take the lead back late. And we did it in, I think, impressive fashion. So if they come out and they score first on us, I feel confident we can move the ball on anybody as long as this is all predicated on that not being a fluke. I'm speaking like, okay, this is the Browns offense now. If that was a fluke and we come out and for 2 quarters we look completely lost and inept again, then I'll be sad. I'll probably be sobbing. Yes, yeah. But I'm not expecting that. I expect us to look like we did the last 6-7 games last year. Hopefully less turnovers.
Yeah. So
just the way. Go ahead.
I was just say, if that is the case, which I'm expecting it, like we talked about, that was the offense last year. That was the offense we were supposed to see this year. If that's the case and we come out and we look good again on offense, the thing to keep in mind is the Browns offense this year so far, 17.3 points on average is what our offense or what our team scores in games. That's not good, but that's also factoring in 7 games of garbage, not last week's great game. The Chargers have had their quarterback. They've had their running back receiver. Like they've had their offense in place pretty much all year, other than a little bit of time missed for Justin Herbert. They only average a little over a point more than we do per game. So I have a little more confidence if we take a lead that we're able to contain them. And it's going to be more of a struggle, I think, for them to fight back than it probably would be for us if last week's offense is what we get again this week.
Yeah, average. And I'm confident in points per game. It's not good. Like that's they struggle offensively. Justin Herbert's a good quarterback, and we all like J.K. Dobbins, but I think everybody was excited for Ladd McConkey this year. I don't think anybody thought he was going to be their number 1 leading wide receiver halfway into the season with only 300 yards. Maybe
I thought he'd have more yards than that, honestly, bro.
Yeah. So against our defense, a defense that I know at the start of the season, people were kind of like, what is going on? The last 3 weeks, this defense has been playing pretty lights out.
What's going on, guys?
Man.
Yo. So I was thinking, I think this week is more of a test for like what our defense is going to look like without, number 1, Ward covering, and number 2, JOK puts up so many tackles for us. I think it's going to be interesting with how good the Chargers run game is and how like dominant they are off the line. I think it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And do we know if Z's playing this week, or are we quote unquote resting him to trade? Like, what's that look like?
He practiced, so I'm thinking he's going to play that.
Okay.
Just to kind of piggyback off that, I think if the Browns don't win this game, the fire sale starts.
Sure.
I think if the Browns don't win this game, you heading into the bye, I think there'll be trades to be had over the bye, because right now the season's on life support, but you got a shot. If you lose this game, it's over. And we can't afford to lose a game against these guys right now. If we beat the Chargers, we come out and beat the Saints, and we tighten that gap for the rest of the season, we keep it within a game. Okay, if we drop one to the Chiefs, season's not done. We still got a fighting chance. You drop this one though to the team that's right ahead of you, it's over. You're not making the playoffs. The fire sale will start. So if we want to keep this locker room together and we want to keep the fight and watch good, fun football the rest of the year, like this is a must win. Or I think the locker room is going to start looking a lot different.
Yeah,
I agree. They got the most on the line.
Yep. And I don't know how much you can defend either of not blowing it up at 2-7. You know what I mean? Like, what is the end game then? What's the goal? We're gonna, we'll get better for next year. Like, it's great and everything, but I mean, I understand, especially the guys that are on expiring contracts. Like, that makes sense. But it is kind of a must win if you aren't blowing it up.
I'll say this: I'm okay if the Browns fight all the way back and they can get to 9-8 and miss the playoffs. Week 17, somebody wins and gets in over the Browns, but we fought like hell and got back to 9-8, and then we end up picking at 15 or 16 or something. I can live with that, because I should be good going into next year. If I don't want the Browns to win 2 more games this year, and finish it and get the 8th pick because we're stupid and won 2. If either we're in and we're good now and the offense is going to gel and we're going to fight and we're going to make a playoff push, even as unlikely as it is, and we're going to get to that 9 wins and we're going to have some momentum heading into next year, or let's just be done.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
I don't know why.
Class. You're
Only
that our
drives a point through, man.
Yeah.
Driving a point through.
But yeah, so either the offense be good and be gelling and hit our stride and let's make a run at this thing, or let's make the trades we need to and let's go get a top 4 or 5 pick next year to really fast forward the retool. You know what I mean?
I think I love the way Jameis evades the pass rush. I think that's going to buy them a lot of time. He's going to maybe not get the ball down the field like the way we wanted that he did against the Ravens, but he's going to check down. I think Chubb, Njoku, I think that those guys are going to have a good game. It's going to be a lot more ball control instead of firing it down the field like against the Ravens.
Tony asks, being very optimistic here, say we win Sunday and it seems like a very convincing win. Does Barry try to bring in talent, seeing that the wild card could be a real possibility?
Hell yes.
Which depends on what you're looking for, I guess.
Yeah.
What kind of money? Because I don't know what our money is. I don't know what their plan for Deshaun is. You know, are they going to keep him around and just tell him to stay home so it's not as bad of a cap hit? Are they seriously considering shipping him to, the Panthers and giving up a second round pick for them to take him on the books? I don't know what the plan is there, so it's hard to tell what we'll do. But I mean, if we come out and what if we stomp them? What if it's a 25-point win or something, and we're heading into the bye, and you got the Saints coming out of the bye, a team that looks very beatable, and all of a sudden you're heading into that Steelers game with a chance to be only one game under 500 if you can pull the win out at home? Like, holy crap! Why not? Why not try to add a piece to this team?
Right. Yep.
If that's the case, what would you guys add?
Well, that's
what would you strengthen the most right now?
That's what I was going to say. Outside of like offensive line, I feel like this roster was pretty solid as far as depth and everything goes. We already traded away Amari Cooper. We're not going to get an Amari Cooper level receiver back somewhere else, I don't think, with all the wide receiver needy teams. We got Nick Chubb back. The running back, situation seems to be working its way back to, form for the Browns. I don't know, man. I don't know what you really go after.
Especially with 4, if there's a running back out there, I can make plays, especially maybe in the passing game. I'm thinking like a Jerick McKinnon type. Not necessarily Jerick McKinnon. I don't even know if he's still playing, but somewhere in that line, somebody in that realm that can kind of catch like what Hines was supposed to be for us, that we're obviously not getting since he's not playing. Like, I'm not talking about a big splash, but just something that opens up the offense even more. So maybe something like that. Linebacker, depending on JOK's health, obviously an offensive line piece, some depth there would be nice. Yeah, I don't even know who would be out there on the trade market that you could make like a splash move for. I don't know who that would be.
I'd be greedy on the defensive line, and I'd take a tackle that would just plug everything up. If the league's going towards a trend of running the ball, more ball control style offense because of this too high safety bubble zone that everybody's doing, get somebody that can clog up another lane. Somebody that's just a little bit better than Shelby, a little bit better than Mo Hurst. I think Jefferson's injured, or maybe he isn't anymore, but get another depth piece.
I think Peter asked a good question here. How many good performances you need to see out of Tillman before we feel good with him at the wide receiver 1 on the team? Just all year, probably a couple more. If you can do it here, put together a solid month. If he can perform well here, perform well coming out of the Saints, and he puts together 4 or 5 games in a row where he's, 75 plus yards, and maybe he catches 2 more touchdowns in the next 3 games, like, I would feel very good about where he's at if he continue that. If he comes out and lays a dud against the first good secondary we play this year, then okay, maybe he's not what we thought we were. We were just picking on some bad secondaries. So I just think this is a big game for the Browns to answer a lot of questions going forward.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like the wide receiver thing goes with Tillman, I mentioned it multiple times now. We traded away Amari Cooper, and we're like a team now playing with like the best. Who's open? Like who's the best guy that's open? Who's running the routes correctly? I mean, Elijah Moore came to life last week, and I'm hoping that wasn't just a fluke, because I can't remember if we talked about it Monday, Blake, or when you said it. Like he's played with the Jets and Zach Wilson, now the Browns and Deshaun Watson, and like he's never really had a good quarterback. When he looked good last year, it was with Joe Flacco. So the first game he gets Jameis Winston this year, he's 8 for 85 on 12 targets. It's like, dang, okay. So maybe Tillman isn't going to be this, 8 catch, 80 to 90 to 100 yard guy every single week, but as long as somebody is, Judy and Njoku, I don't care. Just as long as we are moving that ball on offense, I think we've got a good rotation of guys, at least at the moment.
I just like the fact that he played well against the Bengals. He played well against the Ravens. And if he lights up the Steelers, I'll be feeling really good. Play well against your division rivals.
I want to say it's not a fluke for Tillman because I've liked him since we drafted him. I thought even though he wasn't putting up gaudy numbers, you could see he's kind of a dog. Like in the run blocking, he pancakes people. He hand catches so well. Like he plucks the ball out of the air, especially on the sideline, going over the middle. He's a big body guy. And it's not like we drafted some small school wide receiver who is productive and this guy was an elite number 1 receiver for an SEC school, that was coming off of an injury. I mean, this guy's got the pedigree. It's in there. He did it for a big time program in the toughest conference in college football. So we didn't draft the best receiver in the MAC. We drafted one of the best receivers in the best conference. So I want to be optimistic. I spent the first 7 weeks of the season being pessimistic. I'm back to being optimistic.
Oh yeah, I mean Tillman, like you said, he wasn't just hurt either. I mean, he got overshadowed that last season at Tennessee by Jalen Hyatt, who was the Biletnikoff winner. Like he was voted the best receiver in the country that year. So, and Tillman was older. I think he came out at 23. A lot of these guys that are highly drafted, they're like 21, 22 at the oldest. So there were other factors that, contributed to him going in the 3rd round. But dude, we talked about it after the Hall of Fame game last year against the Jets. I mean, I know it was just a preseason game as Hall of Fame, but he was on the field and he was making those hand catches. And it was like, damn, that's nice to see. I mean, he's got strong hands, plucks the ball out of the air and doesn't let it go. So yeah, I do think he's got some good upside. This episode is sponsored by Manly Bands. Dog Pack, it's hard to believe, but the holiday season is here. Ladies, treat your men, and men, how about treating yourselves? Manly Bands is having an early Black Friday sale, 30% off site-wide, plus you get an additional 25% off when you use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out. But don't wait, this sale will be ending soon. Guys, if you're getting married soon, you need a wedding band, or if you've been thinking about replacing or getting a second wedding band, Manly Bands is the best place to find bands made for men. Now, they've got your standard gold and white gold bands, but guys, they have some very unique materials and collections to choose from. Tungsten, tantalum, titanium, carbon fiber, even materials like meteorite, antler, and dinosaur bone. Yes, the bands are actually made from dinosaur fossils. They have rings made from Jack Daniel's whiskey barrels. They have a Fender guitar collection, a DC Comics collection, Lord of the Rings. There is so much to see. You just have to go to manlybands.com and use promo code DAWGS for 25% off your order. Manly Bands will send you a free ring size guide if you're unsure of which size you need, and every Manly Band comes shipped with a free silicone band so you can swap it out whenever you're working or playing hard. But don't wait, the early Black Friday sale won't last long. Get 30% off site-wide right now, plus an additional 25% off with code DAWGS, DAWGS at manlybands.com.
We miss anything? Justin, what do you think? I haven't heard much out of you. I didn't get to see you on Monday. I missed you. So
missed you too, bro.
To add here?
Oh, no, I'm just, that was the most fun that I've had, watching a Browns game since about last year, New York Jets game last year. So that was no doubt, man. Yeah, that was nice to remember what that feeling was, because I was starting to think that it was going to be a lot like the last 20 years. But no, that was very fun. I think we kind of touched on it. Like, I think there's an excitement about the team again. The team's kind of reborn a little bit. I saw some fight. I saw a lot of not ready to roll over. So I think that I'm very bought in as long as they're mathematically still in this thing.
So I got two questions for the Chargers and Browns game. Is one, what offensive player do we think is going to have a huge impact against the Chargers this week that will help us win this game? And then just because I'm killing to see one of our cornerbacks finally get an interception, which player on the defense, mainly in that secondary, because I don't think we're going to get Dobbins to fumble that ball, what player in the secondary is going to get that crucial turnover for us to help us win the game on defense?
So Kenny says Delpit. I said Chubb. I just look for us to continue to get Chubb going.
Yeah, I said that earlier. I'm going to stick with that pick. Part of it's just because the offensive line is together again for another game. That helps the running back. That helps them steady what they need to do with their blocking zone or how they're going to block that game. And that's just one more game together to get cohesive. As far as Delpit's concerned, I think he's just on the verge. Other than Diabate, he's been smacking people around. And I think the guy's super charged up. He's one of the guys that's kind of like the heartbeat of the defense, that doesn't say a lot, like that doesn't get a lot of attention, but he's going to pull one out off of Herbert this weekend.
For offense, for me, and then I'm sorry, Justin, then you can go. It's got if he's starting at left tackle, it's got to be DeJuan Jones. Like, we need competent play at the left tackle position, and he gave us the most competent play we've had yet this season. And I know the bar wasn't very high, but somebody had to get there. So just continue to hold down that spot and be the anchor we need over there.
I think offensively, I'm gonna keep going with Chief. Let's try to keep get him going. I think as long as with this offense is for real and it's kind of we're airing it out a little bit, and they can't just stick everybody basically at the line of scrimmage on us. I look for Chief to continue to just get better and better and just get a full head of steam going on as the season goes on. And then as far as defensively, I think we need a good game from Newsom. I'd like to see him get that moment. Just because I feel like he's an important spirit guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's as far as the vibe of that defense, I think when he's playing really, really well and feeling it and vibing, they're all kind of on board with it. So I'd like to see him have a nice game, get going, maybe get an interception. But that's who I'll pick.
I know this might be cliche, but I'm going to call Myles Garrett strip sack.
That's fair. That's okay. I don't,
I feel like if you're a betting person and you're looking for somebody who's going to create a turnover in the Browns defense, you'd be silly not to put your money on Myles Garrett strip sack. I could see him having a big game. That's back in front of the home crowd. I think the crowd, we're not the only four optimistic people in Browns fandom right now. I think the energy is back in in Huntington Bank Field. I think the energy's back. And so I look for him to be really feeding off the crowd. I could see a strip sack early to just really get things going. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I think that's a great one. Myles Garrett, last week, he had the pressures, but I don't think maybe he had the game that he wanted last week. He was stout against the run and everything, but that key turnover, that big play, I think he's due, and I think he's a great pick as well.
All right. Well, we don't have any more hands. I've said everything that I want. Are you guys all good? We feel like we've adequately previewed the.
I'm just going to go over the. I'm going to go over the podcast weekend, but other than that, I'm hoping for a big win.
Yes. All right, everybody, listen closely. This is a big weekend for the Browns backers, and the Dogs podcast. So Kenny's going to fill us all in. Listen closely.
Yeah, guys. I'm super pumped, number one, to hang out with all you guys and any of you guys that are coming. So this is our big Dogs podcast weekend. For me, it's kicking off right now. I ain't going to work tomorrow. I got to drive 7 hours to get my butt down to Cleveland. And part of the reason I'm going is to see this 5-0 Cavs team kick some ass on Friday night, man. It's going to be awesome. I will be down in the Budweiser zone. I always pay for the cheap tickets, and I'll be down there. Come and say hi if you guys are in the area. As far as Saturday goes, what I understand from most of you guys is you're going to be traveling that day or getting stuff ready or getting down for the eventual thing that's going to happen. One thing that I can tell you is Nate is the greatest. He will be going to the Hall of Fame. So if you want to hang out with him, he will be there. But the main event, other than the Buckeyes playing Penn State, is Big Backers Bash at Grindstone in Berea. It's hosted by the Berea Browns backers. So that's this Saturday, November 2nd. It's 5 to 8 o'clock. Our very own Dog Pack, our Dogs podcast, will be coming live from there, and we'll be talking to some presidents, maybe some people that are there, thoughts on the game, the seasons, players of the past, whatever it may be. That'll kick off right at 5 o'clock. And big news, Chomps will be there. So if you got kids love Chomps, you can get a picture with Chomps. We will be having a raffle. We have an autographed Elijah Moore ball. I'm giving away a game card. It is one of 100 only by 2 Dog Pound captains. It was when the Guardians were at the last Chargers game. So it's the last game cards from the Chargers game that they played 2 years ago. And I know it's the catcher of the Guardians and one of the pitchers. I will have to get you who they are. And there also is limited edition Brownie team t-shirts. And it's got Brownie the Elf in camo for the what's the weekend? Salute to Service weekend.
Salute Service, yep.
Yeah. So all the proceeds go to the Cleveland Browns Foundation, as well as the raffle. The Browns will probably provide 1 or 2 other items as well, which will be fantastic. There's a couple other things. $3 pints, chili mac, and Italian sausage specials that night. So it'll be a freaking awesome night. And then to cap it all off, we're all going to go to the damn game. So we're going to tailgate. Justin, we're going to hang out at the, what do you call that place? Is it the Probate Courthouse of Cleveland? Is that what it is?
You're damn right. Yeah, the parking.
Right on. So that's for the courthouse. Yeah. We'll be there probably around 9:30. I usually like going earlier. I'm bringing my mother-in-law because she's never tailgated. So probably going to go over to the Muni lot. And I'm bringing 2 cases of Pound Town Lager. That's what I have for my chapter up here. That's a beer that we drink. You guys will love it. So get there if you want to try it out. It's fantastic. Other than that, 9:30 we'll be there. Bring your own brews, bring your own foods, hang out with us, probably do a team picture at some point, and go see some other people. My boy, Jeff Toothman's going to be down there. He tailgates in the Burke Airport. So there'll be tons of people to see, tons of things to do. I'm going to see you all this weekend. Let's go. Brownies.
Andy, is there there's no cover charge for the Browns Backers Bash, is there?
Oh, once in a while if we can get a player or something, but not this particular one. No.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure if there was, people had cash. So, guys, it's gonna be an awesome weekend. So if you're a fan of the podcast, and you've thought about joining the Dog Pack, there's going to be a ton of Dog Pack members at this Browns Backers Bash. It's going to be a super good time. And then, like Kenny said, a lot of these guys are coming up to go to the game on Sunday. They're all going to be tailgating together. The Cavs game, I'm pretty sure there's still tickets available. Like Kenny said, just buy cheap ones and then go to the Budweiser zone. You got to view the court and stand with whoever you want. So you don't have to get seats next to each other. It's going to be a really fun, cool weekend. I'm just super pumped to meet a lot of these guys. There's some guys who've been in this Dog Pack for 4.5 years now that I've never met in person. I'm super pumped to go hang out with that day. So if you've been listening to the show for a while, you're interested in hanging out, you want to see what it's all about, the kind of community that we've built in the last 4.5 years on here, head up to the Berea, head to the Grindstone Tap House. It's the Tap House, right? Did I say that right? And meet Chomps, get some food, maybe win some prizes, jump on, talk to us on a mic. We're going to be up there recording and all that good stuff. So it's going to be a super awesome time. I can't wait for this weekend. And then cap it all off, hope the Browns get a big win. So we appreciate everybody who's listening. Obviously, big shout out to the Dog Pack members who are in here watching live with us and and jumping in the chat and giving us their thoughts and coming up on stage and talking with us. We appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who's watching and who stuck through the dark times of the season. We're at the light at the end of the tunnel, turning the corner. We're going to be the most excited 3-6 team you've ever seen in the world if we can be 3-6 heading into the bye. So again, thank you guys for being here, and make sure you guys come see us on Saturday and Sunday. And if not, we'll make sure to see you guys live Monday for the game recap.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dogs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is brought to you by Danger Coffee. Browns fans, we talk about how Danger Coffee is made free from mold toxins that are in 45% of the world's coffee, but that's not all that Danger Coffee has to offer. Mineral and nutrient deficiencies are a big deal. They make you feel sick, tired, stressed, and they can give you brain fog. These deficiencies negatively affect your immune system, your digestion, sleep, metabolism. Have you ever wondered why you get an initial burst from your coffee, but then you get that little crash not long after? Danger Coffee's patent-pending process remineralizes your body with more than 50 trace minerals and electrolytes, leaving you more energized, engaged, powerful. These micronutrients enter the cells to boost performance. They bind to toxins to provide detoxification support. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line, guys, is minerals matter, and most of us really don't get enough of them on a daily basis. Danger Coffee delivers micronutrients, plus it gives you access to the minerals you already have. Head to dangercoffee.com, use our code DAWGS, DAWGS, for 10% off your order. And that code can be used over and over. So you get 10% off every order you make using code DAWGS. It's time to start every day off with a cup of coffee that gets you going and actually keeps you going. Dangercoffee.com, code DAWGS.